Consistency is the holy grail of golf. Every golfer wants to play more consistently and have fewer blow-up holes and big roller coaster type rounds. So how do you play more consistently? In this video, I'm going to take you through 10 proven tips that I have no doubt will help you shoot lower scores a lot more often and avoid those costly blow-up holes. From equipment issues to mental game mistakes, course management tips, you're going to learn it all so you can bring your A game to the course a lot more often. So first off, I want you to understand that yes, consistency is a great goal. I definitely don't want you to shoot 80 one day and then 100 the next day. I don't want you to shoot 72 and then 90, right? I want consistency just as much as you do, but you have to understand that golf definitely will have some ranges. So on those bad days, make sure you're learning from them, and on those good days, make sure you learn from them too. There's a lot we can learn, but you gotta have the right mindset. So the first tip to help you play more consistent golf is to make sure our equipment is helping and not hurting your game. The problem is that too many golfers just have kind of random clubs in the bag. They have this club that a friend gave them. They have this club that their pro recommended. But a lot of times they're not actually fit for you. And as your swing evolves and as you become a better golfer, you need to get a custom fitting. If you're serious about becoming a consistent player, breaking 80, even becoming scratch, you gotta make sure these guys are working for you and not against you. So go get a custom fitting. I'm not saying you have to spend $4,000 on all new clubs and gear and everything like that, but just make sure all these clubs are actually right for you. That includes the head, the shaft, and even the grip. So make sure to spend the time and money. Trust me, it's one of the best investments you can make. And sometimes they can make little switches like to your lie angle or maybe your putter loft, or maybe they can find a better position for your adjustable driver. And sometimes you might need to get new clubs, but when all 14 clubs are assets and not liabilities, you're gonna play more consistent golf. Second strategy to play more consistently is to never skip a warm-up. If you just get to the golf course and go straight to the first tee, it's gonna be really hard to play consistently because your body and mind are just not ready yet to tee it up. So plan ahead and hopefully get there at least 30 minutes early. If you're playing in a more formal tournament or a club championship or state event, please get there at least 60 minutes early because I do not want you guys being rushed and flustered. Not only do you want your equipment helping you, you want your mindset and your body ready to go as well. So when you avoid some of the most common warm-up mistakes that I talk about in this video, and you actually get there and you have a plan and you have a process, you're gonna set yourself up so by the time you get to the first hole, you're ready to go. Now the third strategy that goes right along with number 2 is that when we are warming up is that you're spending more time on the putting green. So many golfers just throw a few golf balls down, hit a few putts, and kind of hope for the best. But if you're serious about playing consistent golf, you have to make sure your speed is dialed. Most people forget that putting is 30 to 40% of all shots during the round, even more if you count fringe putts. So make sure that you do not neglect the putting green. I'm all for going to the range, getting your body warmed up, but don't skip the putting green. I actually always recommend to my students go there first. Spend time feeling out the speed of the greens. Hit some 30 to 40 footers, hit some uphill, some downhill, some side hill, and then make a bunch of short putts. You want to make a lot of short putts so that way you're getting your confidence up before the round, and those longer putts are going to help with your speed control. Don't forget, you're going to have a lot of 30 to 40 footers no matter how good you get. The PGA Tour average is close to 30 feet when they hit the green in regulation, so you're probably not going to beat them. Sometimes you might have those 5 or 10 foot birdie putts, but at the end of the day, consistent golf is really about avoiding those costly 3 putts, so spend more time on the putting green before the round. The next tip to play more consistently is to make this club your best friend. The putter and the driver are the 2 most important clubs when it comes to shooting lower scores and just playing more consistently. You gotta have a go-to tee shot. So as I mentioned in the first step, getting custom fit is key, even more so with this club because you're swinging it the fastest, it's the longest, and has the least amount of loft. So you gotta make sure this thing is helping you out. If you have a shaft that's too heavy or spins too much or doesn't spin enough, you're giving up distance and accuracy. So once you have the right club, make sure to spend enough time practicing with it. You don't have to do anything crazy either. When I go practice with my driver, all I do is one single thing. I make sure I'm aligned and I hit the same target, the same shot over and over again. I always just want to have a solid stock shot. I'm not trying to hit stingers or draws. I'm trying to play my go-to trusty fade. And there's nothing against draws. If that's your shot shape, go for it. Mine's a fade. So just play one shot shape, and when you practice with it, make sure your alignment and your ball position are dialed and don't do anything crazy. When you make driver your best friend and have confidence off the tee box, there's no doubt in my mind you're gonna play more consistently. If your driver does need some help too and you wanna hit it a little bit further, make sure to download my free 12-page guide, Unleash Your Driving Potential. The URL is gonna be on the screen and it's gonna be linked down below. It's 100% free and I have no doubt it'll help you hit it longer and better than ever. The next strategy for consistent golf is to favor the middle of the green more often. If you've watched all my videos over the past few months since I've really been on YouTube a lot, I'm sure you've heard this tip and you're like, I get it. But do you really get it, or are you still aiming for the flag? Because I know that mentality of you hit a great drive, you feel good, you want to fire at the flag, you want to get a birdie, you want to give yourself a good opportunity. I understand that mindset completely. But when you go through decade golf and you understand that golf is a dispersion game and that we have a wide shot pattern, some are left, some are right, some are high, some are low, there's just a lot of inconsistency in golf to begin with. But when you aim for the middle of the green, you help yourself out, because if you do pull it, or you do push it, or you do hit a little bit more of a draw, you're still hopefully gonna find the green, or it's gonna be on the fringe, or hopefully a very easy chip. But the problem is that when you play too aggressively, that's when you're gonna short side yourself. And when you short side yourself, you're gonna be in the bunker, which amateurs are just notoriously not very good out of, or you're gonna leave yourself a very delicate chip. All of a sudden you don't hit a good chip, now you're having to chip again, maybe you missed the next putt, all of a sudden you walked away with double from simply playing too aggressively. So yes, I'm a big fan of decade golf if you want to learn when to aim for the flag and when not. But even if you're not ready for that yet, favor the middle of the green and watch your scores drop. Before getting into the next lesson, what's the best tip you've learned to play more consistently? Hit the comments now. Sixth strategy to play more consistent golf is to make sure you have a good pre-shot routine. Because here's the thing, as I mentioned several times in the video, golf is a game of misses. You're not gonna hit every shot perfect, and that's okay, right? If you did, no one would play the game, it'd be too easy. But we have to have a good routine so we get mentally prepared. If you watch any of the mental golf videos on this channel, I'm a big fan of trying to paint a very clear picture for our mind of what we want to accomplish. And that is part of a good pre-shot routine. So when you're behind the golf ball, you're getting clear about the distance, how the lie is gonna impact it, what the wind's doing, what the temperature is, and you get clear about your target. The more information you can give your mind, the more confidence you're gonna have over the golf ball. So you need to have a good routine so that way you are mentally ready to go. The problem is though, is that so many golfers are in a cart, they jump out, they rangefinder it, and then they just get right into it. But are you really committed? Do you really know if that's the right club? Did you really lock into your target? Or are you saying things like, don't hit it in the water, don't hit it in the bunker? When you're saying things like that, you're giving your mind a really negative picture. So that's why I challenge everyone that's watching this video to spend more time getting super committed as part of your pre-shot routine. The more committed you can get, the better shots you're gonna hit, because your mind knows exactly what to do. Now, it doesn't mean you're never gonna hit bad shots. Again, golf is a game of inconsistencies, but hopefully you're gonna have a lot better misses that lead to a lot more pars and bogeys versus bogeys, doubles, or worse. The next strategy kind of goes right along with the last two, and that's to play one shot shape. So as I mentioned, when I hit driver on the range, I'm just hitting my butter fade all day. I'm not trying to hit draws, stingers, anything else. I am literally just playing one shot shape. The same thing goes with my irons as well though. Unless I have a tree in my way, I am pretty much hitting the same straight-ish fade shot all the time. I'm not really trying to hit draws just because, again, it's not my natural shot shape. So when you go through decade and you actually understand all the principles that Scott Fawcett talks about, you realize that once again, golf is a game of misses. There's gonna be a wide dispersion. And the further you are away from the green and the higher your handicap, the wider the dispersion. When you play one shot shape, you're gonna minimize the double crosses. So for example, I play a fade. I start things at the left side of the green, left center of the green, and then I play a little bit of a fade. But if I try and play a draw, now I have to aim to the right. Okay, no worries. But then what if I hit a push and it fades like normal? Now I have missed huge. I'm gonna short side myself. I'm gonna leave myself in bunkers. And again, amateurs typically just aren't very good out of the sand. So when you're trying to play multiple shots into different pin positions, you're just making golf more difficult. Play one shot shape if you're serious about playing more consistently. The next strategy to play more consistently is to stop thinking so much when you're out there. Save your thinking and technical swing thoughts for the range or simulator. Do not go out to the course with a head full of swing thoughts and a bunch of YouTube videos you just watched on how to shallow your swing and try and do it when you're on the golf course. Save the technical work for the range. I'm not saying you shouldn't improve your mechanics. Obviously, you need to improve your grip, your takeaway, different parts of your game as you continue to evolve. But if you're out there and you're thinking about golf swing, you're not playing golf. It's not as fun and you're not gonna play as good. When I look at my best rounds in tournaments or casual ones, they're always the time where I'm out there and I'm just playing golf. I'm trusting the swing that I've built in practice. I'm not out there thinking, I need to get my grip a little bit stronger, I need to get my takeaway a little bit more outside. I am simply figuring out what my target is, getting super clear about my commitment, like I mentioned in an earlier point, so that way I walk into the shot and I have as much confidence as possible. Then it's all about just pulling the trigger. So please, I beg you, stop playing golf swing and start playing golf. The next strategy that I think will have a huge impact on your consistency and your overall enjoyment levels is to learn your mental golf type. Like I mentioned in step one, you gotta get fit for the right clubs so they're actually helping your game. But you also need a mental fitting, and that's why I love mental golf type. I've been using this system for 2+ years and seen amazing results. Not to mention, it's the framework that I use for all my mental golf coaching students. I had the creator, John Weir, on the podcast 4 different times, and the most recent interview is absolutely amazing. I'll make sure to link to it here, but I recommend taking your free mental golf type assessment by clicking the link down in the description, so that way you can learn how you are hardwired and what you need to do to stay out of stress and get in the zone more often. Because here's the thing, there's a lot of great mental golf tips out there, but not all of them are gonna be great for how you are mentally hardwired. So if you wanna learn more about mental golf type, again, I have a full review video on it here. I think that when you know your mental golf type and you learn the principles that John's talked about in our interviews and in his program, you're just gonna have a lot more consistency because your mind is gonna be setting you up for success. Another lesson that I know is going to help you play more consistently is to recap your rounds. So first off, make sure you're tracking your stats using something like Arcos Golf. That way you can definitely learn more objective data about your game. Because here's the thing, if you're playing a lot, you have to figure out where you need to improve so that way you can figure out what to work on in practice. The problem is that most golfers don't really understand what are their strengths and weaknesses in terms of strokes gained. But when you actually track your stats and you look at them, or maybe have a coach look at them with you, then you can work on your weaknesses. Because at the end of the day, you're only as good as your weakest part of your game. So you want to figure out what you're struggling with. Maybe it's your driver, maybe it's your irons, maybe it's short game or putting. Figure out what that is, so then that way when you do practice, you're spending 60, 70, or maybe even 80% of your practice time on those weaknesses so you can convert them into strengths. Remember, you gotta make sure and address all different areas of the game so you can play more consistently. These 10 strategies will be a roadmap to help you play consistent golf and have a lot more fun. But they only work if you actually apply them. So don't be like most people and watch this video and then just go on and do the same thing expecting different results. Start applying 1, 2, or even 3 of these tips, or maybe all 10 depending on where you're at, and watch your scores drop and play a lot more consistently. If you want even more tips to play better golf without changing your swing, watch these 2 videos next.